Hello sports fans, it is Tuesday, March the 12th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. We're going to do our college basketball top 25 today, the last time we're going to do it this year. We're already in our conference tournaments. Next week starts the big NCAA tournament. Before we get to that, let's go to some scores of note from last night. Let's start with the college basketball. Let's start with the WCC championship game where number one Gonzaga beats St. Mary's. Gonzaga ends the regular season ranked number one for the first time in their history. What a year Gonzaga has had. They've only lost 2 games this year. I thought last night's game would be a lot closer. It's a big rivalry. St. Mary's is a good team. Gonzaga controlled this game. They flexed their muscles, and they were in total command of this game from basically start to finish. What a wonderful season Gonzaga has had. This is Mark Few's best chance to get to a Final Four. If Gonzaga's going to get to a Final Four, this is the year they do it. On the downside, the WCC is not the greatest conference in the world, so you wonder how battle-tested Gonzaga is. Now, they play a good non-conference schedule, but you wonder how they're going to be in the tournament when they have to play big teams, in consecutive games. We're going to see what kind of bracket they have, what kind of draw they get, who they're playing. But this is Gonzaga's best chance to get to a Final Four. They were very impressive last night. A couple other notes from college basketball last night. A few other teams won their conference tournament and are now in the dance. Davidson, Iona, Western Kentucky, and James Madison will all be dancing next week. They won their conference tournaments last night, so congratulations to them. Over to your NHL. Very light night in the NHL last night. Boston went into Ottawa and beat the Senators last night, and LA at home beat Calgary. LA is really starting to play good hockey. We know they have talent. They won the Cup last year. Had a little bit of a Cup hangover the start of the season. Really starting to come on. Watch the Kings. Over to your NBA. Philadelphia at home beat Brooklyn. I don't get Brooklyn. I mean, every time I'm high on Brooklyn, they let me down, and every time I'm ready to forget about Brooklyn, they come up with a big win. They go into Atlanta over the weekend and have a great game against Atlanta, and then they come back here and lay an egg against the Sixers. A Sixer team that can't beat anyone, that's a dead team, no buying them. You figure Brooklyn's going to go in there and handle them. No, Philadelphia beat them last night. Brooklyn is so up and down. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but they should handle Philadelphia. I mean, come on, bad loss by Brooklyn last night. Also last night, San Antonio at home beat Oklahoma City. And remember, San Antonio has no Tony Parker. When I first turned this game on, Oklahoma City had a big lead early in this game. San Antonio, a huge second quarter, and they never looked back. Very impressive win by San Antonio. This win probably solidifies that they're going to be the number 1 seed in the West, San Antonio. Oklahoma City had a chance to catch them, but with this loss now, they fall even further back. Spurs, just a tremendous regular season, even with all the guys out. I mean, Duncan's missed time, Ginobili's missed time, Parker's missed time. They keep winning. How good is the San Antonio coach, Popovich? How good is he? He gets the most out of his players. I mean, even a guy like Splitter, who comes in the game for San Antonio, contributes. I mean, Popovich is a great coach. San Antonio does it the right way. Tremendous win by them last night. Also last night, Golden State at home waxed the Knicks. The Knicks were in a fog last night. They couldn't score. Carmelo Anthony did come back. The Knicks couldn't score at all last night. Golden State just blew them out. So a nice win by Golden State. They needed it because they've been struggling lately. Utah finally got a win. They were at home last night. They beat a struggling Detroit team. I mean, Utah had to have this. If they didn't win this game, I mean, they had no chance of making the playoffs. They're fighting with the Lakers right now for the 8th seed. Utah does get a win. They hadn't won in like 2 weeks, so Utah on the winning side last night. Also last night, Denver went into Phoenix and beat the Suns. Denver's playing tremendous basketball. They are flying under the radar. They are a tremendous home team. They're a very exciting team. If you haven't seen Denver, check them out, especially when they play at home against a good team. You will be impressed by them. A few news and notes from yesterday in the NFL. Now, today starts free agency in the NFL. You're going to see a plethora of moves from now until the end of the week. You're going to see players moving all over the place. It starts today. Actually, we had some action yesterday where Harvin was traded from Minnesota to Seattle. That's a nice pickup for Seattle. Harvin is a very good receiver. He can return kicks. Now, he can be somewhat of a problem. He does have a history of injuries, and he's had that problem with the migraine headaches and all that. But when he's right, he's as talented as anyone. Nice pickup for Seattle. And San Francisco, not to be outdone by Seattle, San Francisco trades for Bolden. Remember, Bolden just won a Super Bowl in Baltimore, had a tremendous Super Bowl. San Francisco gets him for a 6th-round pick. Baltimore wanted him to take a pay cut. I said this yesterday. He said he wasn't going to do it. You figured they were going to release him. They trade him to the Niners for a 6th-round pick. I mean, what a fantastic move for San Francisco. San Francisco is knocking right on the door to win the whole thing. They were right there last year. Now you add Bolden to the mix. I mean, San Francisco and Seattle are going to be good for years and years to come. Those two teams are going to be battling out west. Two nice pickups by both teams. I mean, Bolden to San Francisco, tremendous, and Harvin to Seattle, tremendous as well. I mean, those two teams look really solid for the next few years at least. So nice pickups there. We'll keep an eye on the rest of free agency. Should be a lot of moves starting today. Also, a note from baseball. The Yankees, who have a million injuries and are going to be shorthanded to start the season, are trying to lure Chipper Jones out of retirement to play for the Yankees. Now, come on. Chipper Jones was a Brave his whole life. He retired last year a Brave. I mean, the Yankees want Chipper Jones. I mean, please, Chipper Jones, stay retired. You were a Brave. I mean, don't go to the Yankees. I mean, you can't have that. He was a Brave his whole life. He's retired. Now he's going to come out and play with the Yankees. I don't think that's going to happen. The Yankees did put in a call to him. Yankees also inquired about Derek Lee, who is also retired, and they also inquired about Scott Rowland. So the Yankees really desperate for some help because of all these injuries they have. We'll see who they actually get out of this group. I don't know if they're going to get any of the players I just listed. Who knows? But anyway, that's some news and notes there. All right, without further ado, let's go to our college basketball top 25 for the last time this year. Unbelievable, our last college basketball top 25. I'm going to go 25-1. I'm going to give you the teams. I'm going to also tell you how they did last year, going into their tournaments this week, see how they're playing. All right, number 25, Virginia Commonwealth. Last week they beat Richmond, and then they lost at Temple last week. They have, of course, their A-10 tournament this week, which will be held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Number 24, Notre Dame. Last week they beat St. John's, and then they lost at Louisville. Of course, they'll be in the Big East tournament starting this week. Big East tournament actually kicks off tonight with a few light games. This is the last of the Big East tournament as we know it. Remember, all these teams are breaking up. They're going to different conferences. Sad to see the Big East tournament go. It is a great event. I mean, they're going to have another version of the Big East tournament, but you're not going to have your Syracuses and, all your classic matchups and all your classic teams in there. So this is the last time you're going to get a chance to see the Big East tournament as we know it. And remember, no UConn in the tournament this year. They are on probation. Number 23, Creighton. They've already won their tournament, believe it or not. They're already in the dance. They get a nice little rest until they find out who they're playing next week. So Creighton already has won their tournament. Number 22, Wisconsin. They lost at Michigan State. Then they went to Penn State and beat Penn State. They are in the Big Ten tournament. They're solidly in the tournament with Wisconsin. They're a team nobody wants to play because of their style. They're not the greatest team in the world, but their style is so ugly. It's just you just don't want to have anything to do with playing Wisconsin. Number 21, UCLA. They lost at Washington State. Then they came back and won at Washington. They are the Pac-12 tournament regular season champs. Hard to believe UCLA won the Pac-12 this year, considering how bad they started. They were terrible at the beginning of the year, UCLA. They win the Pac-12 regular season title. Now they have the tournament coming up this week. Number 20, Memphis. Last week they won at UTEP, and they won against UAB. They have the Conference USA tournament coming up. Memphis owns Conference USA. They always win the regular season title. It seems like they always win the tournament. It's not a great league. Memphis dominates it all the way. Number 19, Syracuse. Oh, Syracuse. They beat DePaul last week. Okay, ho-hum. And then they lost at Georgetown 61-39. 61-39. What's going on with Syracuse the last month or so? I mean, they lost to Georgetown. They only scored 39 points. Syracuse playing awful ball. I thought they were a Final Four team at the beginning of the year. They are going the wrong way. I cannot believe how bad Syracuse is playing. They have the Big East tournament coming up this week. We'll see how they play in that. Maybe they can get some momentum, but right now, Syracuse falling apart. They were in the top 5 not too long ago. They're down to 19. They get drubbed by Georgetown. They look like a bad team right now, Syracuse. Not impressed at all. Number 18, Arizona. They beat their arch rival, Arizona State. They have the Pac-12 tournament this week coming up. I don't love Arizona either. They're kind of like Syracuse. I've watched a lot of Arizona this year. They've squeaked out a lot of games. I've seen them actually lose a bunch of games. They've fallen back. I don't love this Arizona team. Number 17, Pittsburgh. They won at DePaul. They have the Big East tournament coming up this week. You know Jamie Dixon's going to get the most out of his players. They play great defense. They always play hard. In the tournament, they have trouble scoring. They go long stretches without scoring. In the tournament, you can't do that. One run could put you out of the game. Pittsburgh has to avoid those long spells without scoring. I don't think they can do it. I think this is your typical Pitt team. They're going to try and grind it out. They're going to go 5 minutes of a game without scoring one time, and that's going to cost them. Number 16, St. Louis. They lost at Xavier. Then they beat LaSalle. They are the A-10 regular season champs. St. Louis was one of my surprise teams in the tournament, but how much of a surprise are they right now? They're number 16. They won the A-10 regular season title. Would you consider them a surprise? I guess a little bit. I mean, maybe if you pick them to go to the Final Four, which I'm not going to be as bold to do that. I think St. Louis is a really solid team, though. Really, really solid team. I like St. Louis. I like what they're doing. Number 15, New Mexico. They won at Nevada. Then they lost at Air Force last week. They have the WAC tournament. They won the WAC regular season title. I've told you about New Mexico all year. Their home court is just tremendous. We'll see if they can get it done on neutral courts in the NCAA. Remember, no home field advantage in the NCAA tournament. You're on neutral sites. Let's see if New Mexico can bring that act that they have in Albuquerque onto the neutral site games. Number 14, Oklahoma State. They lost at Iowa State. Then they won at home against Kansas State. They're in the Big 12 tournament this week. Oklahoma State's been a huge surprise. A huge surprise. I never thought they'd be ranked this high. Very nice job being ranked 14. Number 13, Florida. They beat Vanderbilt, then they lost at Kentucky. They were the SEC regular season champs. They have the tournament this week. Florida is a home-heavy team, and this is what I don't like about them. They are great in Gainesville. They're great in front of the Rowdy Reptiles. They haven't been playing well on the road. They played Kentucky on the road without their big man, and they lost to Kentucky. You got to go in there and beat Kentucky without their big man. Florida has been laying eggs on the road for a while now. They are only playing well at home. I like Florida. I think they're a good team. They have to take their show on the road, though. I mean, they can't just rely on being, good at home. Same thing like New Mexico. No home games in the NCAA tournament. You got to win some games on these neutral sites. I mean, come on, Florida. You're better than this. Number 12, Marquette. Won at Rutgers. Won at St. John's at the buzzer at Madison Square Garden. They have the Big East tournament this week. Marquette, number 12. I mean, are you kidding me? They lost a lot last year. I didn't think they replaced it with a lot, yet here they are ranked number 12. I just cannot believe how good Marquette is this year. I mean, tremendous job by Marquette. You would never think they'd be ranked this high when you look at their team. Tremendous job by Marquette. Here's another tremendous job. Number 11, Kansas State. They beat TCU last week, then they lost at Oklahoma State. They have the Big 12 tournament this week. Did you ever think Kansas State was going to be ranked this high? I mean, Bruce Weber has done a tremendous job with this team. Kansas State, very solid team. Now, if they can only find a way to beat Kansas, let's hope they don't play Kansas in either this tournament coming up or the NCAA tournament, because Kansas owns them. Kansas State doesn't mind playing anyone except Kansas. They don't want anything to do with Kansas. I know it's their rival and all that. They can't beat Kansas. That's the team that always beats them. Number 10, Ohio State. They had a huge win at Indiana. I was very impressed by that. And then they came home and beat Illinois. They had the Big Ten tournament coming up. Ohio State starting to show some life. They were, weren't playing so great for a while. Huge win at Indiana. It gets them going. Then they come back, beat Illinois. Ohio State maybe making a move here. Number 9, Miami of Florida. They inexplicably lost to Georgia Tech at the buzzer. Came back, beat Clemson, won the ACC regular season title. Larinaga deserves Coach of the Year. I don't know how they lost to Georgia Tech. I mean, they must have just not taken that game seriously. overall, Miami, the story of college basketball this year, ranked number 9. This isn't football, folks. This is college basketball. I never thought I'd see the day when Miami was ranked this high. Tremendous job by Miami. Really solid team. Number 8, Michigan State. They beat Wisconsin. Then they beat Northwestern. Big Ten tournament coming up. Michigan State is one of my favorite NCAA teams. Tom Izzo always has his team ready. Always has his team prepared. They're battle-tested. And every year, no matter what their record is, no matter where they're ranked, they make a run in the tournament. I trust Michigan State in the tournament. Number 7, Kansas. They beat Texas Tech. Then they lost at Baylor. They are the Big 12 regular season champs. They had the tiebreaker over Kansas State because they beat them twice. Big 12 tournament this week. Kansas, a definite threat to get to the Final Four. Number 6, Michigan. Won at Purdue. Lost a heartbreaker to Indiana at home. Big 10 tournament this week. I like Michigan's team, but they're another team. They play really good at home, not so great on the road. They have a lot of youth. I don't think come next week I'm going to pick Michigan to get to the Final Four. A lot of people are. I probably won't. Good team. I don't think they're a Final Four team. Number 5, Georgetown. Lost at Villanova. They finally lost the game. Rebounded nicely and blew out Syracuse. Big East tournament this week. Is anyone hotter than Georgetown? On absolute fire. Lost like only one game in like the last month. Georgetown flying. If you haven't seen Otto Porter, check him out. To me, he's the player of the year. Really, really good team, Georgetown, peaking at the right time. Number 4, Louisville. They beat Cincinnati, then beat Notre Dame. Big East tournament this week. You know Rick Pitino is always a threat to get to the Final Four. Louisville, very solid, battle-tested, tremendous coach. I like Louisville. Definite threat to get to the Final Four. Indiana ranked number 3. They lost to Ohio State. They won at Michigan. Big Ten regular season champs. Indiana has a lot of depth. Everyone's picking Indiana to get to the Final Four. Everyone's picking Indiana to win it. I mean, I think they're a definite threat. There's a couple things I don't love about Indiana. I'm not saying it's a given they get to the Final Four. I'm not saying it's a given they win the title. This is not the team Bobby Knight coached that went undefeated years ago. This team can be beat. Still a definite threat to get to the Final Four. I don't know, though. Keep an eye on Indiana. I want to see the matchups. I want to see who they're going to play. Number 2, Duke. Beat Virginia Tech. Blew out North Carolina. Kelly back. Duke. With Kelly back, Duke is a real threat. I mean, Duke with Kelly back can beat anyone. Really, really impressive team with Kelly playing, and he's playing on a high level. And number 1, Gonzaga, we mentioned them before. They only lost 2 games all year. They won the WCC Conference Tournament and the regular season. Ranked number 1 for the first time in their history. Gonzaga's best chance to get to the Final Four is this year. All right, so that's where you are in your top 25. Some teams to keep an eye on as we head into the tournament. Here's 8 teams that need to go on a run in their conference tournament because right now they are on the bubble. Could go either way. They go out in the first round of their tournament, they're probably not going to make the tournament. They make a run, probably going to make it. Here's 8 teams to keep an eye on this week. LaSalle, Boise State, Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State, Ole Miss, Baylor, Southern Miss, Alabama, Iowa, and Arizona State. Those teams really need to make a run. Actually, those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are 12 teams. I said 8. 12 teams to keep an eye on this week. Those teams are all sitting on the bubble. Could go either way. Like I said, they go out in the first round of their conference tournament. They are done. They make a run. They have a good chance to get to the NCAA. Those 12 teams, keep an eye on. All right, so that's where we are with our college basketball, with our scores. As far as tonight, what to watch, as far as Tuesday, in your NBA, you have Atlanta at Miami. I mean, you want to keep an eye on this game because the Miami Heat basically haven't lost in, I don't know. When's the last time the Miami Heat lost? Do we actually know? I mean, they've won 18 in a row. It seems like they haven't lost in 6 weeks. Miami Heat are flying. You want to keep an eye on this game, see if the streak continues. And the Lakers are at Orlando. Now, Orlando's awful. I mean, although they almost beat the Heat last week, you want to keep an eye on this game because the Lakers are fighting for that 8th spot, and they can get sloppy. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if the Lakers are down 20 at the half in this game and rally to win in the second half. That's how the Lakers play. Not a great night in the NBA. I mean, not a great night. As far as your NHL, a really nice game in the NHL tonight. Boston at Pittsburgh. Now, Malkin is out for Pittsburgh. He's going to miss about a week or so. but still, tremendous game. Pittsburgh's been playing really well. You know Boston is a solid team. Boston coming off the back-to-back. They were in Ottawa last night. Really, really nice game. If you want to watch one hockey game tonight, Boston at Pittsburgh is it. Some other hockey tonight, Rangers at Buffalo, Anaheim at Minnesota, LA who's streaking at Phoenix, Carolina at Washington. I'll tell you, Washington's all but done. I mean, what's going on with the Capitals? As far as your college basketball tonight, you have some things. They start the Big East tournament tonight, but you don't have your big teams. You have South Florida against Seton Hall, DePaul, Rutgers. These are kind of your play-in games. Big teams have a bye. You have your Horizon Championship tonight, Wright State at Valparaiso. You have your Northeast Tournament final tonight, LIU, Mount St. Mary's. So a couple of bids on the line tonight. And you also have, for you guys interested, your World Baseball Classic tonight. That resumes tonight in Florida, in Miami. USA plays Puerto Rico. USA is in a group with Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Italy. This is not single elimination yet. This is double elimination, kind of like the first round. You can lose a game, but you got to kind of win two. USA plays Puerto Rico tonight. If they lose, they're not done. And on the other side, it's the Japan and Netherlands. They're your other couple of teams left. Remember, the winners of all these games playing the Final Four out in San Francisco. So you got some baseball tonight. You want to keep an eye on USA, Puerto Rico, and Miami. Should be a Puerto Rico crowd in Miami, I think. Just like when the United States played Mexico and Arizona, it was all Mexico fans. I think it's going to be all Puerto Rico fans in Miami tonight. So it'll be a tough test for the United States. They have a tough little group here. They have to play Puerto Rico, then maybe the Dominican Republic, who's a good team, and Dominican Republic will be well represented with their fans down there. This will not be easy for the USA at all, so keep an eye on them tonight against Puerto Rico down in Miami. So there you go. That's some things to watch. Not a great night in the sports world tonight. To me, the best game of the night tonight is in the NHL, Boston at Pittsburgh. To me, that is the best game of the night. You want to keep an eye a little bit on the World Baseball Classic. Basketball, I mean, Atlanta, Miami, just to see if Miami's streak. But to me, the game of the night tonight, Boston Bruins at Pittsburgh Penguins. Not a great night in the sports world. It's going to pick up with these big conference tournaments coming up, as the week goes on. Okay, so that's where we are today. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow we're going to do our NHL Wednesday. Thursday we'll do our NBA. Friday we'll have a show. We'll, recap everything that's going on. We'll also do some movies. We always recap the scores from the night before. Always preview what's going on, coming up. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the games tonight, especially Boston Bruins at Pittsburgh Penguins. I will talk to you tomorrow Wednesday. Take care.